Yo, GamerNemy here. Welcome to my Kazama Jin Optimal Punishment Guide, where I show you guys how to fully utilize all of Jin's punishment. And not just that, I will give you guys some good scenarios and flowcharts on how you can use the punishment to your advantage by following up with certain moves that give you an advantage afterwards. Now, as usual, my guides are very long, probably 30 minutes top, so use the timestamps provided in the link description if you want to target a specific punishment for Jin. Furthermore, I will try to avoid the use of frame data in this guide as usual because I don't want to chase the beginners away, but I will mention frame data here and there because I want everyone to have an understanding of what I'm trying to say. I also do explain the basics of punishment, so please check out this Leroy guide. There's a section where I talk about punishment, so use the timestamp again to find the particular punishment part, but I will make a separate punishment guide later on. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So first, let's start with Jin's 10 frame punish, or his jab frame punish at high level, known as his 10 frame punish, which is 2-4. One of the best punishment in the game. This is an amazing punish. Everything about it is amazing. The damage, 30 damage for a 10 frame punisher is insane. As you can see, it does a little ballerina spin, which means it was flat as well. So one of the best punishment in the game for free. And you can also use 2-1. Use 2-1 as a way of checking if something is punishable, right? Sometimes you're not sure if something is punishable. You might throw 2-4, but that's risky because it's high, and the second hit might be ducked. So if you're unsure of something, check it first with 2-1. Then if you know it's punishable, the next time use 2-4. Now, you can transition into Zen after this, right, by holding forward, right, which makes it very scary because you have like some insane frame traps. First, let's talk about just 2-4 itself, what you can do after 2-4. Now, as you can see, after 2-4, there's like a huge amount of pushback after the move, right? So some follow-ups at a close range are not good, like down forward 1, for example. So you can do 2-4 into forward 2, right? Classic Jin. This is a frame trap. They do anything, they get hit. This is very strong, like ridiculously strong, right? So 2-4 into forward 2, very strong frame trap. You have 2-4 into back 2-1, which is pretty good, right? 2-4 back to 1. You can do 2-4 into 4 as a frame trap, right? But this one is not that great. As you can see, it whiffed, so they can back dash out of it, right? But if they do press buttons, you can get a counter hit, follow up, you know. Same applies for the gold fist, right? It has pushback, right? So if you're making reads, if your opponent is mashing afterwards, electric can be a good option, but like if they backdash, they get out of range and you get punished. Then his Zen options, his best being 3, right? Very strong frame trap. You can go for 1, right? You can cancel if you want, go for hell sweep, which makes it very scary, right? Mid electric if you want, dive kick, the Jin classic, right? Very strong, very annoying, and the other kick as well. So those are some of the best options you have after 2-4. 2-4 is very strong, right? People tend to respect it a lot. So yeah, if you just mix up your stuff, you know, go for a mid, right? Forward 3, try to cancel to forward 3. But anyway, that's how you use a 2-4 effectively. For now, for his 12 frame, which is back 1-2. People always forget that this is actually a punish, right? It's a screw, but it's more so a punish than it is a screw. As you can see, it's 12 frames, really fast, slower than 2-4. So for beginners, it's slower than 2-4, which means in a situation where you can get this move, you can always get this move, right? You can get his 10 frame punisher or his fastest punisher, but you can't get 1-2, right? So this is slower, meaning you can always get the faster punish if you want. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to go for less damage, but more frames, or more damage and a knockdown, right? But at 12 frames, I suggest you always go for back 1-2 because, you know, damage is always better in my opinion. You want your opponent to die as quick as possible, and that's what makes back 1-2 very strong. So not that much needed for this punish, but of course for moves that are like high crush but minus 12, you want to try to avoid this move because it's a high mid, right? So sometimes you can go under moves and not really punish your opponent, putting yourself at risk, that the whole thing can move and you can get launched. And again, be careful with whiffing this move because it's high, right? It can be ducked, so always keep that in mind. Okay, so now let's talk about his 13 frame punishers, and Jin has quite a number of them. I think he has 3, he has 4, right, which is only like 15 damage, right? But you won't really be using 4 that much as a punish. because it does less damage, doesn't really knock down your opponent, right? You also use this as a homing move and the counter hit Fisher. As you guys know, it guarantees 1+2 on block. So you won't really be using 4 that much as a Punisher. So just keep this out of your head. You have 2 better options. The first being 1+2, like I talked about earlier. So 1+2 is 13 frames. It's a hit engager and does 24 damage. Now you want to use this Punisher if you want to go into hit, right? Don't just throw it out. Sometimes you have to save your hit for those crucial moments. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to use this and go into hit or use this other option, which is down forward 1-4. This does more damage and does not take you into hit and has a bunch of plus frames. That's like plus 10, right? Excuse me, which is pretty ridiculous. So down forward 1-4 should be your option if you don't want to go into hit. 1+2 is strong because it takes you into hit, leaving you at plus 17. As we all know, your opponent is guessing that mix-up. So down forward 1-4 is a classic, but you have so many options after this, with the common one being forward 4. This is a classic frame trap, right? They press any buttons, they're getting their ass launched, right? So pretty good. You can go for down forward 1-4 into down back 4. Sometimes if they backdash, they can beat it. So it depends on the range. You can do down forward 1-4 to down 2, which is strong. Down forward 1-4, down forward 1-4 into forward 3, right? Because they're trying to respect your frame trap, right? Because they know down forward 1-4 into forward 4 will launch them. So they will tend to respect you. So it opens up the opportunity to go for, mix-ups like forward 3 or hell sweep, right? That's basically the idea of how you use like mental mix-ups or mental frames, right? Boom, boom, condition them. They press buttons, they get countered. They start respecting you, start going for your mix-ups, right? So that's the best of how you utilize JIN's 13 frame Punisher, simple and straightforward. Alright, and now for his 14 frame punishment. As usual, JIN has quite a number. Like, this character, man, is ridiculous. One of the best punishment in the game. Free, probably like top 3 or something, bro. Like, he is ridiculous. Alright, so he has 4+2, boom, boom, classic 4+2, 38 damage, which is his highest damaging 14 frame Punisher. So it's pretty good, pretty straightforward, right? It's high, so be careful. It can be ducked if you like miss it or you mistime it. Opponent can duck and launch it, but it's very strong. Range is decent as well, but it's pretty good. Of course, you have the hook fist. Now this depends on how perfect you are with the input, right? The faster you do it, the faster it comes out. If you drop it, it will come out slower at 15 frames, right? If you do it perfectly, it comes out at 14 frames. So JIN basically has a 14 frame launcher, right? And as you know, it's pretty strong, right? To get them to the wall, that's a lot of damage, right? 85 damage, 14 frame launcher, very strong. So if you're a JIN main, try your best to optimize your punishment at 14 frames. Try to always land an EWHF, right? Of course, you won't always do this, but the better you get, the more likely you are to actually land this perfect punish. He also has forward 3-1, right? 29 damage hit engager, like it's a trade with JIN, like punishment that leads into hit, right? Very strong, right? So again, if you want to go into hit, you can use your forward 3-1, right? Put them in a mix-up, very strong. You can go for forward 3-3, which can go into Zen, right? But does very little damage, only 26. Even 2-4 is a more damaging punish than forward 3-3, being 14 frames, right? So in my opinion, forward 1+2 should be your best option for 14 frames, followed by EWGF, unless you always manage to land EWGF as a punish on block. So forward 3-3, some options you have. I think the best one is 3, right? Because it's only +8, right? Not as plus as 2-4, which goes into Zen at +14. For beginners, it's more advantageous. 2-4 into Zen is more advantageous than 3-3 into Zen, right? 4-3 into Zen, sorry. So 4-3-3, Zen 3 is like your best option, right? To keep them checked, frame trap. They start respecting you. Go for stuff like dive kick. You can mix up and go low if you want, right? So that's the idea. But like I said, optimal punishment should be EWGF and forward 1+2 as your #1 priority. Right, and lastly, for his 15 frame punishment, he has a hop kick, of course being JIN, and he also has back to 1. But why would you use back to 1? You can just hop kick, right? So this is a 14 frame launcher you're always going to prioritize. If something is launch punishable in this game as a JIN player, you can hop kick, you can EWGF, or you can EWHF, right? This is a 16 frames though. right? So hop kick is like your best option, right? Pretty ridiculous, pretty strong. Like I said, Jin's punishment in this game is just too OD, man. He's almost perfect. I would say he's perfect, man. Like, what else do you need in terms of punishment, right? Jin has it all. So for 2-1 is mostly like a long-range punisher, right? You won't be using this to punish opponents in terms of like, you know, launch them at 15 frames. It's a long-range punisher. Think of Jin, Paw Phoenix Death Fist, right? Or Jack, forward 1 plus 2, you know, stuff like that. You have back to 1, and you also have forward 4 as a long-range punisher, right? So that's basically all of Jin's standing punishment, sorry. Very strong, has a good 10, has a good 11, sorry, has a good 10, has a good 12, has a good 13, has OD 14, and has strong 15 as well. The perfect character when it comes to punishment, bruh. Jin is him. Jin is him for sure. Okay, so now let's talk about all of Jin's outstanding punishment, which again has to be one of the best in the game. Like, this guy has everything when it comes to punishment. Simply amazing. Like, this character, man, oh my goodness. Okay, so his fastest outstanding punishment at 11 frames is outstanding 4-4. They basically gave him Kazumi's outstanding Punisher from Tekken 7, which is pretty ridiculous, right? So yeah, it's ridiculously strong. It is +4, so not that advantageous on block. Honestly, I've seen Jin mains do like outstanding 4-4 into forward 4. This is not a frame trap. It can be interrupted by jabs, you know, even a down forward 1, I think, can interrupt this. So your best options are outstanding 4-4, you know, into down forward 1, right? Outstanding 4-4 into 4 is a frame trap as well. They press anything, boom, they get counter hit, you can follow up 1 plus 2 and go into hit. You can go for EWHF, right? Being 14 frames to trade with a jab, but in your favor, because again, it's an electric launcher, right? So to trade in your favor, but it's a high, so keep that in mind. As they start respecting you, the time to now go low, right? So on outstanding 4-4 to down back 4, down 2, they respect you, just like forward 4, sorry, down forward 1-4. They respect you, start going for the mix-ups, right? Go mid and go low if you want, right? Just mix it up, right? Always test your opponent to see if they're mashing buttons after your plus, or it's still your turn, right? If they're mashing buttons, condition them. Condition to stop pressing buttons. That's basically how like frame traps and stuff work in this game. For 13 frames, there's outstanding 1-2, which is pretty good. You know, nothing crazy. It leaves you at +3, right? So you don't really have that. You're not really that advantageous on hit after landing this Spanish, right? So you can do outstanding 1-2 to down forward 1. This will trade with jabs, right? You can go into Zen, but it's less advantageous compared to just in neutral, right? It's +3 in neutral. It's +2 if you go into Zen. So in my opinion, it's better you stay in neutral. You know, +3, step afterwards. Of course, they're coming out from crouch, right? So they can do like outstanding 3, outstanding 4, so you can interrupt your stuff. So you do like jab afterwards if you want, bam, jab. If you want, outstanding 1-2 into 4, right? This will come out as a counter hit if they press buttons while rising, you know. So that's basically the idea. It's not too crazy. Like I said, it's not that advantageous on hit, but like it's still an insane punish. A lot of characters don't have good 13 frame punishers, but Jin, being a Mishima, yeah, he gets that privilege. And for his launcher, he has a 14 frame outstanding 2, which is very strong, right? This is very strong. So he can launch stuff like, I was gonna say Dragon of Down 2, but I realized it's now 13 frames in this game, which is pretty ridiculous. I think Kazuya down plus 2 is -14, if I'm not mistaken. I think 4 quarter circle forward 3 is -14. If they're not -13, guys, I might be mistaken. This game is still new, but this can launch 14 frame lows, guys, right? So you have to do your homework. Very strong, right? So this character has a 14 frame outstanding Punisher and a 14 frame standing Punisher, right? He has everything. He is ridiculous. Very strong character when it comes to punishment. Okay, and finally, let's talk about Jin's Whiff Punishment. Now, for beginners that don't understand what Whiff Punishment is basically punishing your opponent for throwing out something in the open. So, for example, let's say Kazuya here does a forward 3 randomly, right, in the open like this, right? If he throws that in the open, then I hit them with a move, right? It's regarded as a Whiff Punisher. As you can see from my frame data box, it even says punish, right? Just a minute. Look at that, right? It says punish, right? So any move you hit your opponent with after they throw something in the open is regarded as a Whiff Punisher. It's not one specific move that you should be using. It depends on you as a player, on your reads, and whatever move you throw out, and the range as well. Let's say Kazuya throws out a down forward one here, right? Let's say jab, down forward one, right? Right? So I can't really use forward 2 as a Whiff Punisher because it comes out too fast, right? I have to be like super perfect, like this, as you can see, right? So something like a down forward 1, you're best off using back to 1 as a Whiff Punisher, right? And electric as well is very, very good, right? So with that said, this is some of JIN's best punish options. Firstly is EWHF, right? As a Mishima, an electric should always be your first Whiff Punishment option. And what makes JIN even better than Kazuya or whatever JIN or Reina is the fact that he has 2 versions of electrics, a high and a mid, right? So if an opponent with something that goes under highs, you can use your mid version to launch them, right? So that's the idea behind Whiff Punisher, or Whiff Punishment, sorry. So he has back to 1, which is a very, very good Whiff Punisher, a very, very good check. If you're really not sure of how to Whiff Punish something, back to 1 is a good way to like just check them, because it's still safe, right? But it's only 22 damage, not that big. Forward 2 is another very, very strong Whiff Punisher. This is downright broken, right? Tracking is insane, goes into hit, so it's pretty ridiculous. You know, forward 2 gaming JIN. And forward 4 is also a decent Whiff Punisher, right? That's good. Check them, you know, check them. So like I said, guys, it depends on you as a player, your reads, the range at which something has whiffed, you know, and how fast the move that the opponent throws out comes out. So, you know, that's basically how it works. But as a JIN player, like I said, try to prioritize your EWHF and your HF Whiff Punishment. These are your 2 best options for like max damage whiffs. If you're really not sure or something comes out too fast, back to 1 is your best option alongside forward 4. That's basically how Whiff Punishment works, and the best Whiff Punishment options with Kazama JIN. Have it, guys, JIN's punishment explained in a nutshell. Now please let me know if you fully understood, or if there's something I could do better. Am I talking too fast? Is what I'm saying not making sense? Is it easy to understand for you beginners and high level players as well? If you're trying to pick up JIN, you let me know. I'll try to make more in-depth guides on punishment, but like this is just basic stuff. And considering the fact that JIN has very, very strong punishment and very easy punishment, the guide is way shorter than other characters, right? He only has like, you know, punishers into stance positions, like 2 of them, right? And like Steve can go into sways and stuff like that. So his guide is overall shorter than the other characters I've done so far. Which character do you want to see next for punishment? You let me know in the comment section below. So now, if you've enjoyed this video, then why not check out my punishment guide for Leroy Smith. GG and take care.